Looks like there was a peaceful protest in Philly the other day. Let's take a look.
Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Everybody must eat. Yes. Niggas going crazy. Go on, boy. Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, me too. Me too. This boy got the look. Oh yeah, the cops coming.
You got meatball outside.
Security running.
Oh shit, I saw it.
Yeah, man.
Yo, listen.
Next. We good now. Your son doing fine. You can chill in hood now. Keep your feet up. I'm about to run me some good now. Yo, what's that sound? What's that sound? What's that sound?
That's the food.
Oh shoot! Everybody throwing free iPhones. Let me see the iPhone. Oh my God, I want that. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Oh my God. Go to the iPad too. They check the iPad too. They check. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Phones, bro, y'all gotta break it. That's what they track, bro.
Oh, this is crazy. Oh my God, this is crazy. Ain't nothing. Oh my God, all these iPhones. And they still going on. Oh my God. Put that shit. They got the oh my God. Popeyes, they going in Popeyes. They should
We need all of them.
y'all be drawing.
We want all the chicken.
Yo, I might need to go back there and just throw all that chicken out front. Throw that shit out front, yo. Go back behind the corner. Let's go! We waiting for him. Oh shit. Look, the girl laughing back there. She think it's a joke. Look, she laughing. Yo, throw that chicken up here on my mom. Throw that fucking chicken up here. What's up, gang? It's the bag. We want the chicken.
I don't know, man. I'm cringing and I'm laughing my ass off at the same time because, for one, these are the type of ghetto hoodlums that I grew up around. And it was always just so cringe. Like, ugh. But that Popeyes part. Oh my God. Can you fit the stereotype any better? A bunch of ghetto hoodlums barging into a Popeyes robbing fried chicken. Oh my God. This is the Bite Signal Podcast. So we're going to dig deeper into that story. Of course, we're going to talk about the second Republican debate. But before we get into that, these young scholars in Philly, they weren't the only ones acting a fool recently. Joe Biden, Dixiecrat Joe, is at it again. So we're going to take a couple of clips and spend some time talking about Dixiecrat Joe. First, let's look at this one.
You are actively trying to diminish our Second Amendment right and take away our gun.
You're full of shit.
All right, thank
No,
you.
shush. Shush. I support the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, just like right now, if you yell fire, that's not free speech. And
from the very beginning. I have a shotgun. I have
Why are you getting
a 20
closer?
gauge, a 12 gauge. My sons hunt. Guess what? You're not allowed to own any weapon. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds.
So when you were with Beto, when you said you were going to take our guns, that
I
means
did
what?
not say that. That's
Yeah.
not true. I did not
It's a
say
viral
that.
video.
It's a viral video like the other ones they're putting out there. It's
It
simply
was
a lie.
your voice. You were said that you're taking the guns.
Well,
away
he
with
just
Beto.
clarified it.
Wait.
The same
Take your
thing.
your AR-14s.
Okay, this is not okay.
Hold on.
All right.
And let's
You went
Don't
up
tell me
to
this. I want to go outside.
There's a lot of guys.
You're
A lot of guys
on
wanted.
me, man.
I'm not worried.
Hey,
Hold on.
so much.
Give me a
Thank
break,
you so
man.
much.
Don't be such a
You're
horse
pushing
bag.
up on me.
there's a lot of guys. Speak to Joe.
Look, here's the deal.
Okay, go
Here's the deal. Are you able to own a machine gun? I said, are you able to own one? Under the law.
Machine guns are illegal.
That's right. So AR-15's illegal.
How is that a machine gun?
No, it's not.
Semi-automatic.
Yeah, do you need 100 rounds? Do you need 100 rounds?
Damn, Joe about to whip the man's ass. All right, let's get into Dixiecrat Joe.
And two of the great artists of our time representing the groundbreaking legacy of hip-hop in America, LL Cool J. By the way, that man's got biceps bigger than my thighs. I think he's been...
Ooh. Imagine if this was Trump. This would be international news. How racist, this is terrible. All the coons will be out trying to attack him, trying to appease their liberal masters. But he just called this man boy. And where I'm from, calling a man boy, a white man calling a man boy, is damn near as bad as calling them the N-word. And Dixiecrat Joe, who grew up around this, who was friends with KKK members, who grew up in this segregation era, who has a history of racist comments, him being in this state of dementia, losing his mind, he can't really filter himself the way he has recently. So it's coming out. LL Cool J, you a boy. Oh my God. But like I just said, this is one of many examples of Joe. This is him recently saying something. But let's look at a history of some of the stuff this man has said.
In Delaware, the largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. It's a point. I'm not joking.
Romney wants to he said in the first 100 days, he's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains. Look, we need to reform the criminal justice to make sure black mothers feel confident when they send their son out on the street that he's going to be safe. We got to recognize that kid wearing the hoodie may very well be the next poet laureate and not a gangbanger. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. But if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black. And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
What the hell was that? I don't know what's going on here. But we're going to take a look at another clip. There was a senator named Robert Byrd who was a racist. He tried to clean up his act at the end of his life, but he spent decades as a KKK member and a racist scumbag. And he was all buddy-buddy with Joe Biden. They had a history together. When Joe Biden entered the Senate back in the 70s, he and Robert Byrd were really close, man. They were boys. And they both opposed a lot of the civil rights acts that were instituted around that time. But Robert Byrd died, 10, 15 years ago, and Joe Biden gave a eulogy at the man's funeral because he loved this KKK member. Let's take a look.
Every time I sat with a leader, I never called Senator Byrd Senator. I always called him leader. When I sat with a leader, I could see that look in his face, and he said, Joe, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, Yesterday, I had the opportunity to pay my respects to Leader Byrd as he lay in repose in the Senate chamber. I said, you know, to paraphrase the poet, we shall not see his like again. Had he been there, he would have said, Joe, that's Shakespeare, Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 2, and the actual quote is, I shall not look upon his like again. Mr. Leader, we're not going to look upon your like again.
Yikes. You know, I can talk all day about Dixiecrat Joe, but we're going to move on from that. We're going to go back to that story about the hoodlums, the young scholars over there in Philly, and see exactly what was the result of their peaceful protest. Then we're going to talk about the second round of the Republican primary debates, mainly Nikki Haley, such a nasty woman, and their tactic against Vivek Ramaswamy. But first, a word from my sponsor, me, the Bicycle Merch Store. As we discuss today's topics, remember that your ideas and your values can be expressed by the things that you wear. Check out our thoughtfully curated merchandise celebrating traditional values and government restraint. Explore our unique collection starting with the Supreme Style tinfoil hat, a statement piece that embodies our commitment to critical thinking and pushing back against the norm. Make a statement with the Free Trump shirt, boldly displaying the captivating mugshot of the former president, which instantly became the most famous picture in the world. At the Bicycle Merch Store, we're more than just products. We're a community dedicated to celebrating and defending traditional values. Sign up for promotions and receive 10% off your very first order. Don't miss out on these exceptional items. Embrace tradition, champion freedom, and shop now at tbsmerch.com.
What story going at first, y'all? This is episode.
Oh my God.
Hey, we really out here. This is what happens when we don't get no justice in our city. We terrorize this city. Ain't nothing. Yes, we need justice. Period. How would you like it if I get out the car and just start pow pow? What do you mean? What's up, y'all? Park out, get out, we outside.
Damn, bro. That if ghetto was a person, that's it right there. But didn't work out for her because she was such an idiot that she wanted people in the hood to give her praise, to give her a pat on the back, and to just have fun being ghetto, I guess. But she got arrested. These people, these rioters, they always go out, act a fool, and they get away with it. Like Brandon Johnson in Chicago, when they do those team takeovers and completely act a fool, destroy property, and loot. Brandon Johnson, the mayor, said, hey, these are just poor teenagers. They have nothing else to do, so leave them alone. Stop talking down on them. So the recent history of these DAs says that these teens will act a fool, and this woman here, she's an adult, she's in her 20s. They'll act a fool, and they'll just get away with it. They destroyed all types of property. You saw her walking around with Hennessy, and they stole some iPhone 15s. I guess they're going to eat iPhones and feed their kids with purses, and I guess instead of milk and water, they're going to give them Hennessy. Because remember, AOC said that the only reason why black people do this is because they're poor and they just need some bread. They need something to eat. The only reason why they loot and destroy property is because they're hungry. So they're going to be eating iPhone sandwiches, I guess. I never had that before, but she got arrested and got charged with 6 counts after her own video challenging the cops to do anything, talking all types of smack, talking all types of noise. So let's take a look at this New York Post article right here, because now she's regretting it. Because remember, all those people out there laughing with her, running, giving her hugs, all those people in their comment section, they're not going to be for her. She got arrested and had to post $25,000 bail, which is only 10% of it. But all of those people in her comment sections, they're not there for her. They're like, damn, did you hear that she got arrested? By the way, her name is Meatball. I guess she has an IG account or something. I don't really know. I'm not going to look her up. Not interested. But Meatball got arrested, and all those people in her comment sections just moved on while she had to pay the consequence. Look at her. Who cares? So let's read a little bit about what's going on here. The shameless influencer arrested during this week's Philadelphia riots is no longer grinning after a night in jail, while her parents admit they are ashamed of her antics. I regretted that Jaya Blackwell, the 21-year-old better known online as Meatball, told NBC Philadelphia on Thursday after being hit with felony charges for the looting she filmed and cheering on excitedly. I just prefer, never loot again. Stay out of trouble. Never go to jail. Damn. Did she get buck broken that fast? She only did one night in jail. What happened? Because from the looks of her, from the way she was acting, she was pretty badass. You do one night in the clink, one night, that's all it takes. Unless she's just a lying sack of shit. Maybe the DA told her, look, just go out there and pretend that you regret it, and we'll bury it, sweep it under the rug, and it'll all go away. Blackwell spoke to the local outlet on the porch of her home while wearing a t-shirt and hat, both saying, ain't nothing. What? If there was a nod to her legal woes, however, her family clearly seems to disagree, with her mom pulling up outside and holding down her horn to stop the interview. The influencer's grandmother then minced no words when discussing her antics. Look at this here. Jesus Christ, bro. Wow. Everybody must eat. Is she everybody? Oh my God, this looks horrible. She was over there stealing phones. She should have stole some soap. Look at this, right? Oh my God. Just, the whole thing, man. Can you get any more ghetto than that? And I'm pretty sure Granny and her mom knew that she was a hood rat. What goes through my mind as a grandmother is I'm very ashamed. I'm very ashamed to see my grandchild there at the time, Vashenta Fields told Fox 29. When I see someone of my blood that has been there while this is happening, that hurts me deeply. You know what? Granny might know that her granddaughter is a hood rat, but sometimes in the hood, when you got these little hoodlums, these ghetto girls, these hood rats, these trash ass women, they can't be controlled. They can't be contained. They can get married. The man can't do anything with them. The parents can't do anything with them. It's just a full-blown ratchet hood rat. And these women always wonder why the hell they're alone on welfare, because ain't nobody trying to deal with their asses, man. Ugh. Cringe. I don't even want to look at ugh. Meatball was charged with causing, risking a catastrophe, criminal mischief, riot, aiding consummation, access to communication, and disorderly conduct. Phil says she doesn't think her granddaughter is guilty of all it. Has she watched the tape? I want to know what Granny thinks about her granddaughter going in there and robbing fried chicken. We need that specific question. But wants her to apologize by writing a letter to the city of brotherly love and hopefully use her voice for good. Ugh. You can do all that, but I don't know. With that type of personality, attitude, lost cause, man. I doubt that she truly regrets this. She just upset that she actually spent the night in jail and had some charges. Meatball also took to Instagram to give her side of the story and plug her Cash App handle. Oh, here we go. For her fans to send her money as a welcome home gift. What idiot? You know what? There are some idiots who are going to send her money. All I want to do is go treat myself, she told her fans on Instagram, saying that she wants to go get her toes done. Saying she wants to go get her toes done as well as address her legal woes. The influencer says she wants the charges expunged from her record and insists that she is not a troubled person. I'm a good person. I'm a businesswoman. What the hell business do you own? What business are you running? I don't like it. I didn't know that this ish would go this far. No, you didn't know that you would get arrested for acting like a hood rat, for exposing your hood rat personality to the whole world. I've never been through nothing like that in my life. I don't even know what happened. Like, I need some sleep. I'm scared. I'm traumatized. Never again in my life. Like, seriously, Meatball said on a video posted to her Instagram story. So all this is just BS. So this hood rat is saying all the things that she needs to say to play the victim and to get away with her crimes. But she needs to do some time in a penitentiary. She needs to spend a few years in the clink. Because we've seen people go to jail for less. So she incited this, she acted fool, they robbed all these stores, closed businesses, and then it looks worse for future business. What company is going to come in there and say, you know what, this neighborhood is a good spot for us to invest our money. We're going to build some stores here, warehouse or something, and we're going to hire people, bring up the economy in here, and we're going to make some money. Nobody wants to be in that neighborhood. Target, Walmart, all these big retailers who do all this virtue signaling, acting like they like black people, like Target is in the news right now. They're closing stores all around the country in neighborhoods just like this. And Apple is looking at that. Apple, after all that BLM, virtue signaling, acting like they down for the cause, they're also, I guarantee, Apple them, they're looking at ways where they can get the hell out of those type of neighborhoods. They still want to sell these phones on payment plans, these $1,500 phones, on payment plans to these poor people in these neighborhoods, but they don't want to have a shop in the neighborhood. So they're trying to find out ways in order to do that because they don't want to be there. They don't want to have jobs there. So those Apple Store employees, your days are probably numbered because they're getting the hell out of there. Authorities have said that looting was unrelated to earlier protests in Philly over a judge dismissing charges in a police shooting of Eddie Irizarry, 27. Yeah, so that's a completely different story, but the whole thing started with this BLM type protest over a police shooting of this guy, and these hoodlums became an offshoot of the larger protest crowd, and this ensued. But yeah, let her do some time behind bars, let her cry, and any dumbass who sends her money to go get her toes done and to pay her attorney fees, yeah, that's your loss. You're a fool for sending that to her. But yeah, she's just one of many. This is an example of what goes on in these neighborhoods all the time. But we're going to move on to the main event. We're going to move on to what happened in the debate. So debate number 2. Honestly, not much to talk about. It was basically being neocons, talking about China. Let's send infinite money to Ukraine and fight Russia. Let's ignore the fact that we can go into World War III because that doesn't matter as long as we line our pockets. But this whole debate isn't going to move the needle. Trump is dominating these guys, and they're all insulted because he didn't show up. But he doesn't have to show up. People are saying, well, he owes it to the voters. How does he owe it to the voters? The voters have him up in the polls by 50 points. The voters don't care on what he has to say, what he's going to do, because they've already seen 4 years of him as president. The voters know what they want. They've seen 4 years of Trump, so they want Trump. They don't need him going out and debating a bunch of neocons. It's a waste of time. So these guys are putting in zingers, trying to make their name known and doing all that. I guess it's entertainment. I guess the news stations, Fox and I think that was Univision, I guess they're making some money off of it, but it's not going to move the needle. None of these guys have a shot at the Republican nomination. Unless something tragic happens to Trump, none of these guys have a shot. And another big thing that this debate was about was take down Vivek. So let's get into some highlights.
It's not the fault of anybody who's in politics.
Some of us aren't tainted.
Excuse me. Thank you for speaking while I'm interrupting. While I'm speaking.
You said about painful.
TikTok is one of the most dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what you've got, I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say. Because I can't believe you've got a TikTok situation. What they're doing is these 150 million people are on TikTok. That means they can get your contacts, they can get your financial information, they can get your emails, they can get text messages, they can get all of these things.
This is very important for our party.
Exactly what they're doing.
This is very important for our party, and I'm going to say
you've gone and you've helped China make medicines in China, not America. You're now wanting kids to go and get on the social media that's dangerous for all of us. You went and you were in business with the Chinese that gave Hunter Biden $5 million. We can't trust you. We can't trust you. We can't have TikTok in our kids' lives.
This is very
important.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 15 seconds.
I think it's Excuse me.
working software. You have 15 seconds, Mr. Ramaswamy.
Thank you. I think we would be better served as a Republican Party if we're not sitting here hurling personal insults and actually have a legitimate debate about policy following Reagan's 11th Amendment in his honor. And the answer is that is what actually makes our country strong. And I believe in these people. These are good people on the stage. They disagree, but let's have a legitimate disagreement. That's what I would say.
We think about the fact that Vivek just said we were all good people, and I appreciate that because last debate he said we were all bought and paid for. And I thought about that for a little while and said, you know, I can't imagine how you could say that knowing that you were just in business with the Chinese Communist Party.
I'm glad Vivek pulled out of his business deal in 2018 in China. That must have been about the time you decided to start voting in presidential elections. So
I have respect for every man and woman on this stage because they've done it. Vivek, put your hand down for a second, would you? I still got time, dude. So
a strategy there is for them to gang up on Vivek and don't let him talk. So when Vivek is trying to make a good point because he destroyed them in the first debate, when he's trying to make a point that they know is going to connect with the audience, with especially with Trump voters, they have to shut him down because these guys are mostly, I would say, maybe not Ron DeSantis, but the rest of these guys are these old school Republicans from the 2000s era, these neocon, these soft ass, let's cut taxes and let the Democrats slap us in the face, slap us around. These soft ass Republicans. So in order to defeat Vivek, jump him, and when he goes on trying to make his point, constantly interrupt him. Okay, now let's check out these neocons, man. They love them some war because they love some blood money. They sit on their asses. They send other people, poor people on the other side of the world to die in their war. And then they sit here and brag, oh, we're not spending that much money. It's only 5% of our budget. While they're in bed with these companies like Raytheon, Lockheed, Queen Neocon, Birdbrain, Nikki Haley, was on a board of Boeing, has friends at Boeing, partnerships. So these people have a vested interest in keeping the war going. But what they've learned over time is it's easier to get money for a war and to enrich themselves if they have poor people on the other side of the world die and the media turns a blind eye to it versus putting American lives at risk. So when Vivek tries to speak about how trash and corrupt Ukraine is, because it's well known as one of the most corrupt countries in the world until all of a sudden Putin bad, I guess. When he tries to say that, let's see what happens.
By degrading the Russian military, we actually keep our homeland safer, we keep our troops at home, and we all understand Article 5 of NATO.
We have to level with the American people.
I thought you said something about waiting until your turn to talk. So at the end of the day, I'm going to finish I'll be happy to debate with this.
I'll respond.
I'll look forward to this one right now. So at the end of the day, when you think about the fact that if you want to keep American troops at home, attack on NATO territory would bring us and our troops in. By degrading the Russian military, we reduce, if not eliminate, an attack on NATO territory.
Finish that exchange. We have to level with the American people. We have to level with the American people on this issue. The reality is just because Putin is Putin's an evil dictator does not mean that Ukraine is good. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties.
A win
that has
for
actually,
Russia is a
that
win
is not
for
true.
China.
We're driving
a win
Russia.
For Russia is a win for China.
Excuse me, Nikki. You'll have
but
your chance.
I forgot you like China. That's why
you'll have your chance in just a moment. Helping. China is the real enemy, and we're driving Russia further into China's arms. We need a reasonable peace plan to end this, especially this is a country whose president just last week
Vivek,
was
if
hailing
you let Putin have Ukraine, that's a green light to China to take Taiwan.
We need a
peace comes through strength.
We need a reasonable plan to peace.
Governor
China's the real enemy.
Governor Christie, President Biden's first 2 years have brought China, Russia, and Iran closer together. Are we focused too much on Ukraine and not enough on this threat from the New World Order?
No, they're all connected, Stuart. They're all connected. The Chinese are paying for the Russian war in Ukraine. The Iranians are supplying more sophisticated weapons, and so are the North Koreans now as well, with the encouragement of the Chinese. The naivete on this stage from some of these folks is extraordinary. Look, I understand people want to go and talk to Putin. Guess what? So did George W. Bush. So did Barack Obama. So did Donald Trump.
These neocons, man. First of all, it's a pointless war. Over 400,000, reportedly over 400,000 Ukrainian men are dead, while the rest of them are trying to get the hell out of the country. They're being forced to conscript into the Ukrainian army just to go out there and die. They're fighting America's war. Ukraine is some third world country fighting America's war because America doesn't want to go toe to toe with Russia because things get really ugly. But these neocons, they're pushing it. They're all for war. That's why I was saying these guys are these George Bush era, these 2000s era warmonger Republicans. And they have like I'm saying, they have a vested interest in keeping this going because they're collecting blood money.
First of all, the American president needs to have moral clarity. They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil. Right. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine. If you look at the percentages per GDP, 11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S. But what's really important is go back to when China and Russia held hands, shook hands before the Olympics, and named themselves unlimited partners. A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that. Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan. He wants to go and stop funding Israel. You don't do that to friends. What you do instead is you have the backs of your friends. Ukraine is the front line of defense. Putin has said, once Russia takes Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When I was at the UN, the Russian ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a pro-American country.
First of all, Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 30 seconds. Mr. DeSantis,
Nikki, I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
I'm not on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon. And
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie. You've been pushing this lie all week, Nikki.
You want to go and defund Israel? You want to
okay, let me address that. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch, so the reality is, America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The foreign policy experience.
This woman is annoying as hell, man. She acts like she's some expert in foreign policy. Oh, I was the ambassador. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. But all these people, all these neocons do is burn American taxpayer dollars, enrich themselves, and get us in quagmires and wars that we can't win. Spent 20 years in Afghanistan with experts like Nikki Haley to take down the Taliban. 13 Marines die. We run away. And guess what happens? The Taliban runs Afghanistan. That same line that she's talking about, well, if Russia takes this, then they're going to take over Poland and the Baltics. First of all, Putin never said that. But they're saying if we don't let the Ukrainians die, then Americans are going to be dying next. Isn't that the same line that Bush said, that if we don't go into Iraq, that there's going to be a mushroom cloud in America? Isn't that the same line that they said back during the Vietnam era? If we don't go over there to fight Vietnam, we don't know that most of y'all never heard of Vietnam, but if we don't go over there and fight the Viet Cong, if we don't go over there to fight them, then they're going to be in Los Angeles. So here we go again. These annoying ass neocons, and she's sitting here lying, knowing damn well she's on the board of Boeing. And she's talking about, I'm not on the board. I don't associate with these people. Lying sack of shit. And she sits here and screams and shouts over people because that's all she can do. It's a clear sign of desperation. Vivek is destroying her and the rest of them, except for DeSantis, in the polls because he's a new era Republican. These neocons like Nikki Haley, bird brain Nikki, as Trump calls her, they're dinosaurs. Nobody wants to associate with these 2000s era, George Bush era neocon Republicans anymore. So she can go somewhere else with all this shouting because it's not going to get her anywhere. I wouldn't say anybody won this debate. it's really pointless because we already know Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. Nikki Haley, she shouted, squawked, annoyed the hell out of people. Tim Scott, he was off in the corner last time, so he tried to be more lively, more present. So Tim Scott was interrupting the hell out of everybody, but he's too quirky. I don't know, man. He needs way more practice at this. And I used to like Tim Scott. When I first heard about him some years ago, I started looking into him. Used to follow him, look at him. But yeah, this guy is a neocon. Just listening to him recently over the last year, yeah, I don't care for this guy at all in terms of being president. I guess he can remain a senator, but no, he's not ready. And his mindset with this whole warmonger crap, yeah, he's in the wrong place with that. And the sin is, he tried to be more loud, wants to go after Trump, and one mistake I think he made, he did good when Trump was kind of waffling about the abortion issue in that, I think that was NBC, in that interview. DeSantis actually did good in clarifying, look, we need to protect life. Everybody is important. But on the part about inflation, he actually blamed Trump for this inflation. He started talking about the $6-7 trillion in debt Trump added. So he's using a Democrat talking point because he's desperate to close his numbers. So now he's giving life to the Democrat talking points. And now Biden is using DeSantis in the commercial to show, see, look, even DeSantis says inflation is Trump's fault. I think that was a mistake. But overall, I guess entertaining for some people. But the whole format of the debate is off. And this particular year, this election year, Trump is dominating. Yeah, all voters still have a right to pick, so I'm not going to say just end it and let the RNC crown Trump. No, let the voters pick who they want. So don't stop the process like the Democrats are doing, how they're shutting down debate. They don't want RFK and Marianne Williamson and all them to actually debate Biden. No, don't take away the conversation. Let them talk. Let them go through the process. Let the voters vote. But at the end, we know how this is going to turn out. But maybe you could say Trump won because he was just sitting at home watching, chilling. And he's still going to be dominating. So if you enjoyed today's episode, leave a like, share it, and I'll see you guys next time.